Hello everyone, hello beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. Today Easy Sewing with Tyke. To all returning subscribers, thumbs up to you all. Thank you so much. And if today is your first time of joining us, you are welcome as well. You will love it here. Kindly subscribe and put on the notification bell. Help my channel to grow. Thank you. So today we'll be learning how to make this beautiful gypsy skirt, also referred to as Caribbean or tiered skirt, with side pockets and side zipper. It's a variation of a maxi skirt and can be paired with any top of choice. I paired mine with a wrap top. If you are interested in knowing how I made it, click on the link in the description box. You can also make yours into a gown. Let's get started. The required measurement to make this skirt is just 2 in this case. The length 42 and the waist 32, because the type of gypsy skirts that I'll be making today is that type which the first layer is gathered on the band. There are some gypsy skirts that the gathers only in the second layer and the third layer. This first layer is not usually not gathered to the band. This mark just represents or indicates gathers. If it was the type that this first layer would not be gathered to the band, then we'll be needing the hip measurement. But since the first layer will be gathered to the band, we need just these 2 measurements, which is the length and the waist. So looking at this skirt now, you would see that it is in 4 parts: the band, the first layer, the second layer, and the third layer. And the skirt length we're working with is 42. The height of the band will be 2 inches. 42 minus 2 inches equals to 40. It means we'll divide this 40 into 3 unequal parts, because for a Caribbean skirt, the length of the layers is usually not equal. They are usually longer than the other, the third layer being the longest, followed by the second, followed by the first layer. So to divide the remaining skirt length 40 into 3 unequal parts, the first layer will be 10 inches, the second layer will be 13, and the third layer will be 17 inches. 10 plus 13 plus 17 is 40. This way, the second layer is 3 inches longer than the first layer, and the third layer is 4 inches longer than the second layer. So when cutting this out, you add 1 inches to this first layer for joining. You use ½ inch to join it to the band, another ½ inch to join it to the second layer, equals 11. For the second layer as well, you'll be adding 1 inch for joining, equals 14 rather. Then for the third layer, it depends. If you will be weaving the hem, then you can add 1 inch. But if you will be folding the hem, then it's advisable to add 2 inches. We have 19. I'll be folding the hem, so I'll be adding 2 inches to the third layer. 19 inches. This is the length. This is the length of all the 4 parts. Now that we are done with the length, the next thing is to know how wide it is, the measurement we are going to use for the wideness. For my band, my band would be my waist circumference plus 2 inches. That is 32 plus 2 inches. That's what I'll be cutting out for the band. Okay, sorry, I forgot to mention the length for the band. The length for the band would be 4 inches. On fold, that is 2 inches. 4 inches on fold, that is 2 inches. Plus 0.5, that's ½ inch, to join it to the first layer. That's 4.5. 4.5 inches would be the length of the band, while the wideness would be waist circumference plus 2 inches. If for this skirt, my zipper would be at the side. If your zipper would be at the back, then you need to add zipper allowance to this waist measurement. For the first layer now, since we are going to gather this first layer to the band, we'll multiply the waist measurement by 1.5. You can multiply by 2 inches, by 3 inches, depending on the amount of fabric that you have. 32 multiplied by 1.5, that is 51. It means for the first layer, the wideness will be 51 and the length would be 11 inches. The wideness will be 51, the length will be 11 inches. For the second layer, I would multiply 51 by 1.5. Again, you can multiply by 2 or 3 depending on the amount of fabric you have. 51 multiplied by 1.5 is 76.5. If you will be following this measurement, that is if you as well will be multiplied by 1.5, you can go ahead and use the 76.5, but I would like to approximate to 80 inches. It means the wideness of the second layer is 80 and the length is 14 inches. For the last layer, which is the third layer, that will be 80 inches now, multiplied by 1.5, which is 120. It means that for the third layer, the wideness is 120 inches and the length, that is the height, is 19 inches. This is the band, the first layer, the second and the third. A quick recap. For the band wideness is the waist measurement plus 2 inches. If your zipper would be at the back, then you'll be adding zipper allowance, but my own zipper would be at the side. That's why I added just 2 inches. For the first layer, the wideness is 51 inches, while the height is 11 inches. For the second layer, the wideness is 80 inches, while the length or the height is 14 inches. For the third layer, the wideness is 120 inches, while the height is 19 inches. So it means you'll be cutting out these 4 parts: the band, the first layer, the second layer, and the third layer. So now it's time to cut the skirt. The first thing I will be doing is to cut all the layers, starting from the largest layer, which is the third layer, the one that has the one with the length of 19 inches. I'll cut that, followed by the second layer, followed by the first layer. Then I'll cut the band, just like the measurement we calculated earlier. I'll cut the band and the pockets. So the pocket measurement is actually 14 by 14. So when folded into 2, we have 7 by 14. I have gone ahead to add interfacing to the band. Next thing to do is to make gathers of the first layer and attach it. So here is me gathering all the layers. I'm using a gathers foot to achieve that. You can also achieve your gathers manually. I'll be making gathers of all the layers. So now it's time to attach the first layer to the band. For the front and for the back, it will be attached separately because I would want to add a pocket to the side, so it will be attached separately. I have gone ahead to attach the first layer, the gathered first layer to the band. This is the band. It was folded. I'm gonna ahead to attach the first layer to the first part. They'll be joining by the side. And I've also gone ahead to fix one of the pockets. This is the second pocket. I'll be showing you how to fix it. Okay, so now to fix the pocket, I would make sure that the right side is facing each other. But first I'll come down by 2 inches here, or 1.5. Let me confirm how much. Okay, we'll come down by 2 inches. And I will notch. From here, I'll come down by 1.5. That will be this. That will come down by 1.5 here. So because I've already joined half inches to the band, so it's still the same 2 inches that I came down with from the pocket. It's still 2 inches. That will be where I'll start my sewing from. I'll make sure the notches align like this. Right side facing each other. Then from that 2 inches mark here, I will measure 6.5 or 7. That will be the opening of the pocket. 6.5. I'll use 6.5. I will sew it by ½ inch from this 2 inches mark to the 6.5 mark. So I'm done sewing a straight line from the 2 inches mark to the 6.5 inches mark, which is the pocket opening. I've gone ahead to sew it in. So the next thing to do now is to notch but do not pass through the stitch line, please. Do not notch past the stitch line. Then you flip it over after flipping it over that way, you either top stitch to make it stay in place or you iron. So I'm just top stitching now. I'll top stitch it all the way. So basically we are almost done with the pocket. What you want to do now is to fold it into two to bring it to meet up at the side this way. So once the lower part is stitched up or closed, the pocket is ready. But to achieve a neat look, I will stitch it twice. First on the front side before stitching it on the wrong side. You can as well stitch it on the wrong side and weave it, but I prefer to make it look like this. So I would first stitch it on the first side, then before proceeding to stitch it on the wrong side. For the bottom part of the pocket, the upper part will be attached to the band. So I'm done sewing it on the right side. What you want to do now is just turn it over and then secure it, sew it on the wrong side also. Sew it on the wrong side also, just like I explained earlier. So now our pocket is 90% ready. The only thing left to do now is to secure the upper part also. Secure the upper part by attaching it to the band. That way, and voila, the pocket is ready. So after fixing the side pocket for the front, by now you must have attached the first layer to the back band also. What you want to do is to join the two together at the side. I will join the two together at the side. I will be fixing my zipper later when the skirt is ready. So what you want to do now is to measure out your waist measurement. Measure out your waist measurement and then join it at the side. So if you want your zipper to be at the center back, then you'll have created an allowance for it and fixed the zipper by now. So what I'll do now is just measure the waistline and join it at the side before fixing the second layer. The reason why I'm joining it at the side now is because the second layer and the third layer will not be joined at the side. So before stitching, you want to make sure that both sides joining match up. That is where the band was attached for the front and for the back, it match up before you actually sew it to achieve a neat look. And while sewing at the side, ensure that you do not sew over the pocket opening. So you want to be careful not to sew over the pocket opening. So this is what I mean when I say do not sew over the pocket opening. If I had sewn over the pocket opening, then I would not be able to insert my hand into the pocket. I will not be able to access the pocket. So you want to ensure that you take note of this while sewing. I'll go ahead and join the second side now. So now it's time to attach the second gathered layer to the first layer at the end. So now this second gathered layer is one piece. It's not divided into two like the first layer. The reason why the first layer was divided into two is so as to fix the pocket. So since that has been done, the second layer was not divided into two. It will just be fixed to the end of the first layer like that, and it will be closed off at only one end, and that end will fall to one side of the first layer. That's why you have to make sure that the sides match up that way. The sides that will be closed, it match up that way. And I'll just go ahead and join it all the way till I exhaust the end of the first layer. So now I am done fixing the second layer to the first layer, and this is what we have so far. The band, the first layer and the second layer. The next thing to do now is to attach the third layer to the end of the second layer, repeating the same process as earlier. So now the skirt is almost ready. The only thing left now is to fix the zip. So to fix the zip, you have to decide if you want the stitch line to show on the outer part or not. If you want the stitch line to show on the outer part, then it's easy. Just fold in the excess allowance from the waist since it's by the side, so there was no zipper allowance, and you place it on the zip this way. Then you stitch it, you sew along it like this. Doing this, the stitch line will show on the outer part of the skirt. But if you do not want the stitch line to show on the outer part of the skirt, you want it to be visible, then you do it this way. You will note the allowance or the excess from the waist. You note it this way, and then you place your zip on it, right side of the zip, facing the right side of the fabric, like this, and then gently sew as close as possible, to the zip. You sew it all the way down like this, and flip it over and do the same thing for the other side. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'll go ahead and sew it this way, the right side of the zip facing the right side of the fabric. I'll do this part, show, then if you have made it this far, thumbs up to you. We are almost done with this skirt. And if you are here to subscribe, please just hit that subscription button. It's actually free. So I am done fixing that side. Like I said, I would the right side of the zip facing the right side of the fabric, and this is what I have. You can see that the stitch line is invisible. It is not showing on the right side of the fabric. So I'll go ahead and flip it over and do the same thing at the other side, and I'll show you what I have. Now the zip has been fixed. As you can see, the stitch line is not showing on the outer part, so it's up to you to decide which method of fixing the zip you actually want to do. So that is the pocket of the skirt, that is the band, and the skirt is fully ready now. I've gone ahead to hem, to fold the hem also and finish it off neatly. And that is the end of the tutorial for today. Let me know in the comment section if you will be making yours as well. Please subscribe if you are yet to, like this video, put on the notification bell and share it. Thank you so much for watching.